All right, what's up, y'all? My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. This is our main side, and I started into this. We're still just starting into this. I feel though, as I'm going into this, like this video could be huge. As far as all that I could say in this, I mean, this could be just packed full of so much information, because what this video is also something I don't know exactly how I'm supposed to word. What it means to lean left. Yikes. Yeah. Okay. The mechanics of leaning left. What it takes for our bodies to go from their center and lean left. We live in a right-handed world, right? We're in this patterning where we're just stuck right-handed, falling to our right side, leaning to our right side. Musculature that connects from the outside of our body to the center is pulled off more on the right side than it is on the left side. We're rotated more externally rather than internally on the right side, and we're just falling over, basically. So, in order to get leaned left, we first have to get from our right-handed patterning in our right-handed world, right? The man-made world placed onto God's earth. 85%, give or take, of human beings are right-handed, and so we get into these right-handed patternings, right? Clothing patterns themselves are right-handed. Products that are meant to be used with just one hand as the majority of the use are designed for the right hand to use them. So we have to get not only just able to lean left as we can from right, as if we're centered already, but if we're in patterning over to the right side, we have to first be able to get centered, and then from there know what it really means to lean left. Okay, so this is the main side of In the Image Clothing Company, and this video could just be packed, chocked full of information, and to the degree that it ends up being is how I'll do it. I'll try not to hold myself back. Often I'm just trying to get these videos done once I'm into them, because I know that most people don't want to be sitting through this long of videos unless you're really here to get the information on specifically exactly what I'm talking about. And that's the point of these, right? Is to live on forever. Yikes. Let's get into it. There's 4 sides to In the Image Clothing Company. I'll mention a little bit about each of the 4 sides. We'll talk about where clothing sits, and then we'll get into the discussion. We've got games going on, so noise from that. There is wind noise where there is. The camera is precariously placed on my soccer goal tripod here. And this video could be just so full of information. So, the main side of In the Image Clothing Company, where we are here, what we do is allow the human body to work. It's just a mechanical machine placed onto a rock in space. The human being, everything within the human body has a neutral position, and then from there, it has operations and motion outside of that neutral. Like the wrist, straight out from the pinky finger is the neutral, and that's every joint in the body. That's how it works, okay? There's a center line, the sternum, the spine, the trachea, the nose, and our jaw. The jaw, naturally stabilizing the entire body on Earth's gravity, has to stay in the center. But Earth has a center of gravity as well that it pulls down on things with. So we have to mesh just verticalness, if you will, within the human body and within Earth's gravity's pull. So, clothing's placed on us, and it's the only thing that is physically. It's truly the only fix to human beings' physical problems. Not a claim, because we have a clothing company, but we do have a clothing company that will always have clothing that stays centered, fits correct, where I'll discuss here in a minute, and is made from 100% natural materials. That is how we allow the human body to work. Unnatural materials, first of all, don't mesh with the natural human body, but also, they didn't even exist just decades ago from today's date, and then ever before then. So, stretch often comes with unnatural materials. Stretch goes the opposite direction of the only way that muscles could ever work. All musculature in the body only contracts, meaning getting shorter. That's the only way muscles can do anything productive other than just being limp and pulled on. Okay, so stretch within the body is damaging as well. If it's not in its neutral, then you might feel you need to stretch because it's on one end chronically stuck and you're trying to get it to the other side. But guess what? The need to look left. What it really means to look left, lean left. the title is about leaning left. We have videos on the mechanics of looking left, though. Okay, and that'll go into this a lot as well, but same thing as, you know, you can't stretch the body to benefit it in any way because, well, there's a center. You stretch to one side and now you've gone outside of your center, or you stretch to the other side and now you've gone outside of your center. If you're in the center line, you can't stretch outside of there. The body can only ever work activated as a whole. Everything's there, everything has a role to play. It has to be able to. We have to be able to have all the functions in our body from its neutral, okay? And there you go. Okay, so yes, that's what we do. We give a lot of free modifications in clothing. We talk about the anatomy of the human body in depth, and we allow the human body to work. Never an exercise, never a workout, never a stretch, but we get out of chronic patterning and scar tissue that gets built up from clothing imbalances, ropes introduced to the body, shoelaces and drawstrings, oversized clothing. Even if it's centered as well as it could be, if it's oversized and pulling our body, right, again, out of its only neutral position, okay? In all the ways that it has that, and everything that it has, there is one of those, a neutral position. So yes, this is the main side, and this is a lot of what we do, but we talk about eating, sleeping, standing, walking, sitting, breathing, hydration, everything as a human being. I don't know why my voice sounds like that. That was just authentic. It's like stuck. I get it. It's noisy. I like it. Raw, real, blunt, bold. In the Image Clothing Company. Okay? Another fourth of us is In the Image Clothing Company podcast. We have discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ there, aka the truth of all things. We're all the same thing, a human being placed on the same earth, designed by one God. We discuss him as he says that he is, although we don't do it perfect. Here comes the wind. But we're on episode 159 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, as of the last one that we made. So check it out if you'd like to. Other sides to us to mention as well. Two other sides. In the Image Clothing Company music, where you'll hear the winds of change often as well. Yeah, a lot of what I do is show the sizing and setup of guitars to not alter the body. There's only one way the hands can work, traveling through the neutral wrist up to the shoulders and through the whole body. We need to allow our bodies to reside in their neutrals always, doing these fine little motor skills, playing guitar especially. So I show that on how to allow that to be the case. And also I make a lot of music and place it on In the Image Clothing Company music. Metronome madness is something we have. I go off the top, if you will, with lyricism geared around the gospel of Jesus Christ. We're on 28 episodes of Metronome Madness as the last one we did. This wind, I just don't know how loud it is in the mic. Sometimes depending on the angle and depending on how windy, depending on how interrupted I'm being, it's either pretty loud or it doesn't really matter. So yeah, In the Image Clothing Company, poodles, the last fourth to mention. I actually went to the shelter today and hung out with some dogs. It was really fun. Yeah, it's been a little while since I've done that, and it was great. We specialize in purebred standard poodles. We breed them properly, registering them under the American Kennel Club and advocating for doing so. We advocate for dogs in a lot of ways, good owners of dogs and how to be that, and we let dogs stay natural. Okay, proper breeding, that's another thing we advocate for. You know, planned litters, doing it correctly, healthily, yeah, okay. A lot of stuff around dogs. Same thing as allowing the body to work when it comes to letting dogs stay natural. Feeding of dogs, hydration of dogs, and just letting dogs be in a modern man-made world like us human beings without being altered. So, there you go. Collars, leashes, harnesses for dogs on InTheImageClothingCompany.com with human being clothing. It's like I'm going to get blown over. The wind is coming. Yes, keeping collars centered is something we have to do as human beings. A lot of musculature that goes through the collar of our top, in our neck, and it has to stay centered. Okay, dogs are the same thing. Keeping dog collars centered, letting dogs not be altered by whatever we place on them. There you go. In the Image Clothing Company poodles, we also have events here in the state of Utah, the United States of America. Poodle parade events are what we call them. Come, bring your poodles of any size that are purebred or mixed poodles of any size. We'll do a lot in the mountains, a lot just at parks, in nature, wherever we do them, just having a good time. As a lot of it, just hanging out. But then also I'll give information on letting dogs stay natural, things like interacting with your dog so your body stays natural as well as the dog, and you know what it means to be an owner of dogs, and good habits and behavioral issues that aren't so good being corrected through information that we can give. Yikes, this video is big. So there you go, each of the 4 sides of us in a nutshell, if you will. Where clothing sits is the same for everybody. If you're a man or a woman, tall or short, skinny or fat, any age or from any part of the earth or any time period to ever be, you're just a human being. And the pants have to be above the hips. We have what's called our natural waist. That's above our hip bones or the pelvis structure as a whole, but below our lowest ribs. And when it comes to this video, whatever it's exactly titled, right? What it means to lean left, the mechanics of leaning left, yeah, something like that is what it's titled. It's not just as simple as thinking, all right, like a bendy straw. You know those straws that have those like little creases in them and you can just bend it over? Well, we can think about the lower spine like that. Our natural waist, the lumbar spine, the area here, from our tailbone up to our thoracic spine, down here on our lower back. Where our pants sit, sure, that is the natural waist, but that's not really what it means to just lean left or to lean right. There's so much more that goes into it throughout the whole body, and so we'll get into that. But it does start with our pants there, yes, at the natural waist. Our pant waistline has to be slightly higher in the front than it is in the rear, because that's the only way we can keep our bodies in a neutral position on Earth's gravity, keeping the musculature activated to keep our skeletal system working in line, okay? So we have tops that we wear as well, and the tops that we wear have seams on top of our shoulders that need to sit evenly behind the peak of our shoulders. So there you go. Evenly is huge. If there's a seam in the collar of our top, we call it, under In The Image Clothing Company, the dreaded collar seam. So we have a lot of free modifications that we give, as I said earlier, in clothing. One of them is the dreaded collar seam modification. Under In The Image Clothing Company, look it up, you'll find it. That will allow the seams of our tops to sit fairly evenly behind our shoulders, because our shoulders only ever work behind our head, okay? That's just where they connect mechanically, and our shoulders follow shoulder seams. Now, the edges of our tops should be just as close as we can get right to the edges of the functionality of our shoulders. It's a joint of top material and sleeve material, as well as a joint of our torso's bones and the arm bone. The humerus here in the arm meets the clavicle and the scapula, okay, which are the collarbone and the shoulder blade. So, yes, 2 things we have as prerequisites. I'm going to get through this regardless of if hell comes, okay? I'm making this now, regardless. I know it's windy, I get it. I get it. I know it's noisy, I get it. I get it. I also know that it's the 26th of September, 2025, and this has to be documented today, okay? So, weaving ropes across the top of our feet. We call them shoelaces, but there's only one way to weave a rope across the top of the human feet and not alter the mechanics in there. Bones, ligaments, tendons, muscles, a lot going on in a gripped arch in the feet. There's one on either side of the body that grips inward and keeps us vertical on Earth's gravity. We can't alter that because it travels up through the neutral ankle, the neutral lower leg, to the knee, the upper leg, the hips, the spine, out to the shoulders, through the arms, elbows, forearms, wrists, hands, the whole body if we alter our feet, okay? With lacing, we also tie shoes as well. You have to tie shoes evenly over toward the center line of the body because there is one. And if you tie shoes unevenly, as I did until I was 24 years old, you'll just be causing a rotation at your feet that then travels up your whole entire body to the tip of your head and the tips of your fingers, just from a knot of a rope being different or discrepant left to right at the feet, okay? So secondly, we remove all tags from clothing. Our other prerequisite under In The Image Clothing Company, tags are new, as well as these unnatural materials, and often they're made of unnatural materials. That's the most common thing for them to be made out of as of today's date. But anywhere a tag is placed, it's either causing a physical gap, changing the body's only working position, and or just not allowing musculature to activate, and then your body's being damaged. No compensation can happen in the body. Everything has a role to play. It has to be allowed to do that. Otherwise, trying to make up for something else's role and it not doing its own role, it just doesn't work. Anything in the body, okay? So let's talk about this. What it means to lean left, because this is a huge thing. In this right-handed patterning we get into, in the right-handed world, more externally rotated, meaning rotating away from the body's center, dropped, meaning just lower on the right side, and yes, farther away physically, gap-wise from the body's center line. This is our right-handed patterning in a right-handed world. Our feet stick out like this. Normally they both stick out to a degree, but the right foot is being pulled out by a right-handed knot in tying both feet to the right. Drawstrings tying a right-handed knot around the hips rotates the whole body in the same right-handed patterning, okay? Oversized clothing will fall to your dominant side if there's play in the top, for example, or if there's a dreaded collar seam under In The Image Clothing Company in the upper left part of the collar. It'll just drop this top off to your right side, okay? So the right-handed patterning, the right-handed world, lots of things within clothing. We talk about zippers and modifying them. And in pants, often behind the flap that's behind the zipper to protect our bodies from the metal of the zipper, it gets stitched in on the left side and it closes off the left side of the pant leg, and then the right side is more open and it goes more external. And the left is kind of stuck in this, well, fairly decent working internal rotation, but the right leg just has more room and it falls away from the body into external rotation. So anytime we're just leaning off to the right of our body's center line, one of the things in the center is the spine, okay? So if we're just leaning off to the right with our weight, our spine will just move right. So we're just always leaning right. Unless you're centered, almost certainly you're going to be right, okay? Choose the right. An episode of In The Image Clothing Company podcast where this is a lot of what I talked about, as well as a lot of things around the gospel of Jesus Christ. The right side of the body is just about the only side we need to address when it comes to what we do under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company, ridding chronic patterning and scar tissue from the body. We have a video titled Scar Tissue in the Body, and I go over a lot of the common places in the body where scar tissue gets built up, okay? And yes. So, yes. And a third. Yes. We have to get the right side of the body to release. Okay? We have to get the right side of the body to be able to get to itself. The right arm, okay? An episode of In The Image Clothing Company podcast, Mind the Gap is the title. We have to mind the gap. Again, I've mentioned a lot of things around the gospel of Jesus Christ in there, as well as the physical gap that gets caused between our own rib cage, or just our own hip, our own side of our body, and our own arm. Okay? If you have an oversized top, you'll just have a gap here against your side, and your arm can't rest at your own side, but it'll be your right arm in a right-handed world with your clothing falling off to your right side or your dominant side if you are right-handed. But then again, clothing patternings themselves are right-handed to a degree. So your arm on your right side will just be farther away from the center line of your body. And that will just cause you to be leaning right always, okay? The importance of even short sleeves, a video we have under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company. If your short sleeves are touching your forearms, then, well, they're probably uneven, unless they're really centered. And so in a right-handed world, it'll be sitting more on your right arm, okay? Leaning you right. So all of these things in clothing that cause our bodies to lean right, almost always in life, check out the wind noise, we have to be able to lean left, okay? So what happens is leaning right, where we almost always are, would be internal rotation on the left side of the body and external rotation on the right side of the body, okay? Now to get centered, we have to get our right side to its self and internally rotated, okay? From its chronically externally rotated position. Okay, now from here to lean left, actually mechanically through the whole body, it's not just about this lower spine here where the pant waistline sits at our natural waist, bending left, but it's rotations through the lower legs, traveling up to the hips, through the hands and forearms, traveling up to the shoulders, and now the whole body can lean left, meaning the whole body can lean and really open big and go left, right? Internal on the right, external on the left side, and now you can really lean big time left. This is on a soccer goal as the tripod, the camera here. Imagine a soccer goalie going to block a shot. If they had to really leap or lean left to block a ball, they would take their whole body, rotate inward on the right side, and rotate external on the left side. Internal on the right, external on the left, through the whole body, then allows them to reach or lean left, okay? So it's a whole body thing. If I were to do a cartwheel right now and show you my Converse Chuck Taylor shoes, just because the brand name is on them, so shout out to them, no affiliation, but what I would do, if I were to cartwheel right, I would turn my left side, my hand up to my shoulder, my foot up to my hip, internal. And I would take my right side and take my hand up to my shoulder and my foot up to my hip, external, like this. Okay? Leaning right through the entire body. I'm gonna try it left. I don't know if I can even really cartwheel left very well. But that's what I mean, but let me make sure and hit that point. I can't. Or at least I haven't, is the point, ever really cartwheeled left much at all. Even doing flips, like I used to do side flips, I would go right. And it was at least more uncomfortable for me to go left because the right-handed world, okay? The right-handed patterning, because of clothing imbalanced to the right, knots in ropes, shoelaces and drawstrings, oversized clothing, the dreaded collar seam, zippers in pants, closing the left side off, taking the right side external, right? Whatever it comes to being in clothing that causes you to be in a right-handed patterning, yeah, you're just leaning right almost always. So in order to turn left, well, no. In order to lean left, turning left is actually quite a bit different mechanic-wise. But to actually lean, because to turn left, you actually kind of lean right in a sense. To lean left, though, something we have to be able to do, just because there is a center line to the body, so we have to be able to go either side. You have to get the entire left side of the body external, the entire right side of the body internal, and in the center of that, you've got the spine. It has to lean left, okay? I'm gonna try a left-handed cartwheel. We'll see how this goes. Not so bad. I pulled my adductor a little bit and something popped. But we have to be able to lean left, okay? Evenly, from the center, as well as we can lean right. And so this is the big point. I've mentioned some things here. Rotations that happen from the feet up to the hips, because the feet are essentially the hips, from the hand up to the shoulder, because the hand is essentially the shoulder, right? And there you go. We understand rotations to a degree there just from this alone. And then if you know in the Image Clothing Company, we talk about rotations of the body a lot, emphasizing internal rotation, okay, because that's the closest to the body's center line, where the strength lies within the body, because that's where muscles connect to, and gravity, right? Just the more vertical you can be, the stronger you will be on Earth's gravity. So yeah, also arches grip inward, straight out from that pinky toe forward is neutral, right? Good nails on the toes as well as on the fingers. Mine are dirty underneath, at least my fingernails here that you can see. My toenails probably are as well. We have to have natural support from our fingernails to keep our neutral wrist. We should cut our nails relatively flat on the tips. You can round the corners so they're not sharp, but then your fingers won't roll around and lose that neutral wrist. Okay, you have that locked in position at the neutral wrist. Same with the feet, okay? So internal rotation, sure. Now from here, well, really neutral, okay, but able to internally rotate as well as external on both sides, then allows us to lean right with external on the right, internal on the left, come back to center, neutral. There's neutrals in everything in the body that has movement. Okay, as far as I know. From here, we have to be able to go left, right? External on the left side, internal on the right. Now we can lean left, like that left-handed cartwheel I did. So a lot of it is rotations. A lot of it is minding the gap, right? Not having a gap to where we can't even get here to cartwheel, for example, or can't even get here because of a gap on the right side from the arm to the rib cage. If we can't get our arm to our side, then we definitely can't get across the body with our arm with this internal rotation. The importance of even forearm rotations under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company, a video we have. And the forearm rotations, internal versus external from the neutral, okay, is important. We have to have even rotations to turn left, well, to lean left. Again, turning left, you're actually kind of almost rotating the other direction as leaning, just because it's a different type of mechanics happening through the whole body. But yeah, because really we have a video titled The Need to Turn Right, okay? But then there's the need to lean left, because these are two things that are hard to do, because check this out. To turn right, you essentially lean left, just because staying over your center of gravity, that's kind of just what would happen. I'm sort of exaggerating it a bit, but not really. I mean, that's really kind of what happens to a degree, is you have to actually lean left to turn right. So, it's just so noisy. A lot of it's rotations, but there's some things that we don't think about. It's not just about the spine, getting it to be able to tilt over. It's not just about the things that I've mentioned so far, but you know, what I say in the intros, and we talk about the jaw in depth, that is what I say in the intros as one of the things that is in the center of the body. It stabilizes the whole body. So, workouts don't help the jaw. A video we have under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company, the mechanics of the human jaw. Another video we have under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company, we talk about the jaw a lot. Eating and drinking with the non-dominant hand. It's really titled Eating and Drinking with the Left Hand. 85% give or take of the population of human beings on the earth is right-handed, are right-handed. So, you're in an externally rotated position, eating with your right hand, internal on the other side, just because there's a center, and so it's just going to oppose what's happening on the opposite ends of the center. Okay, with the rotations, that's just how the body would have to work on Earth's gravity, with just opposing sides, musculature connecting in between with a neutral and all the rotations, and just, yeah, all the things that cause there to be a center line of the body. So, our teeth just naturally wear down over time, grinding food, right? Friction, and that's okay. But what's not okay, for the sake of the human body's only workings, that it could ever do, designed by God. We have no say, right? We didn't design it, we can't decide it. An episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. We have to eat centered, with our head vertical, centered over our body, okay? But also with our hands, if we can eat with the non-dominant side, there's a lot going on in the whole body that causes you to want to lean to the side that you're grabbing and eating food with, that you're grabbing and drinking liquid with, okay? So we need to be able to lean left, and our jaw, naturally stabilizing the entire body, needs to stay in a position where it can open and close in the center line, okay? Because otherwise it stabilizes our entire body out of this position that is us leaning right, eating with our right hand. So now you'll never lean left just because you're stabilizing your head on top of your body with your jaw, but also just your whole body is being stabilized by your jaw. So yeah, right, it comes into a lot of things. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of things that go into leaning left and what it really means. We've got videos titled these, the importance of blank. These are all videos under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company. The importance of even sternocleidomastoid insertions, which are these muscles right behind the ears is where they insert, and they come down and connect to the collarbone / sternum. They just barely clear the rear jaw, the rear of the lower jaw bone, okay? The importance of even lat insertions. The latissimus dorsi, or latissimus dorsi muscle, connects from our upper arm bone here, the humerus, travels down the whole span of the back, connects to some of our lowest vertebrae on our lumbar spine, and to the crest of our pelvis on the rear of our bodies on both sides. The pelvis comes up like this on the sides and the rear, and it has crests on the sides, okay? And yes, those insertions down there at the crest of the pelvis of this latissimus dorsi muscle, check this out, need to be even. Because if our right side's latissimus dorsi muscle is inhibited, it's just got chronic scar tissue down there from being in a right-handed patterning for so many years, off to the right with the actual insertion of that latissimus dorsi down there at the pelvis, but also just externally rotated and dropped so that the distance from the upper arm bone here at the humerus down to the latissimus dorsi insertion at the bottom is just shortened on the right side more than the left, then we have to be able to get that to release, okay, to get centered, to then be able to go the opposite direction and lean left, okay? So the importance of even Achilles tendon insertions down at our feet. On the heels of our feet, there's a tendon that connects our calf muscle on the rear of our lower leg to the heel of our foot. It's called the Achilles tendon, and it needs to be even. Off to the right in a right-handed patterning, you're already leaning right. That tendon will pull from the calf muscle down to the heel of the foot, off on the outside of it, and the foot will go out or external from right-handed knots, right? The right side of the body should actually have a left-handed knot to get to the center, okay? Left-handed knot on the right foot, right-handed knot on the left foot. Now you're centered. Straight out from those pinky toes when we walk, gripping arches inward with a neutral lower leg traveling through the whole body. So the big thing is evenness, okay? There's other videos titled The Importance of Even, right? Pinky fingers, and the importance of even. I just don't know all of the ones that we've done. We've got a lot of videos, hundreds of videos on the main side of In the Image Clothing Company alone as of today's date. But the body has to be even from the center line. If you were to take a measurement from the spine or the sternum here, the bone in the front of the body, opposing the spine from the back to forward most, yikes. And then you measure out on either side from there, the measurement needs to be the same on each side of the body because gravity is pulling us from our very center. And so just more weight on one side will make us fall to that side, the right-handed world. If you're using things with your right hand more than your left, well, if you place anything in your hand to do something with it, to carry it somewhere, to look down at it, you can't do that without compensating for weight with the other side of your body. So, let's say you're holding something in your right hand and you don't compensate for weight, you go like this. You just fall over to the right. So what happens, I never cough, man. I mean, just about never, but I'm yelling. It's loud out here. And I'm getting this video out today regardless of whatever. The bird agrees. He speaks in agreement with my words right now, right? Maybe not. Oh, there he is. We have to have our bodies compensate. If we place more weight in our right hand, our right foot will want to turn out and step over underneath the weight. Rather than being centered at the foot with the other foot, right? Weight over here, it needs us to either try to lean and oppose the, now balance with the center of gravity, or move underneath it. And now we've gone farther off to the side on our right than the left. Now we're in this right-handed patterning, already farther right than centered and not able to get left. Okay, so there's a lot going into this because these sternocleidomastoid muscles, that is huge. You think about the head. If you would please think about the head. Think about the head. Just think about it. 10 pounds, give or take, 12 pounds. I don't know exactly how much the human head weighs, but it's on the very top of the body on Earth's gravity. And it has to stay stable or else it'll just, it's kind of like holding something in your hand, right? If your head leans off to the side, your body will want to fall and it'll be to the right in a right-handed patterning in the right-handed world, right? Clothing patterns themselves will be, right-handed. If our head's already leaning off to the right, our bodies will want to compensate, to just hold that weight up. And what it'll do is cause this little sternocleidomastoid muscle to do so much more work than it's supposed to, because really the muscles that hold up the head that are the most substantial, there's a lot of little muscles in the neck and in the jaw, things that come down through the collar area of our tops, into our shoulders, into our collarbones, and supporting our head. But really the two largest muscles, if you will, are the sternocleidomastoid, which is actually relatively thin and small. It's a pretty small little muscle in comparison, at least, to the upper trapezius muscle that connects from the top of our shoulder along the shoulder to the cervical spine, meaning just the spine of the neck, up that and to the very base of the rear of the skull, just right off the spine on both sides, okay? And this muscle, the upper trapezius, here comes the wind, it not only raises the shoulders, but it internally rotates them because it connects from the outside of the shoulder to the spine. So it pulls in and up. And it's behind the head, okay? So when we go external, well, that's opposing what the upper trapezius muscle does with pulling internal. And so now you've got this little muscle, the sternocleidomastoid, doing so much excess work because it's just connecting from here at the clavicle / sternum up to the rear of the ear, right behind the ear on the skull. And so now this position is more up and down from the sternocleidomastoid when you're in an externally rotated right-handed pattern than if you have good neutral internal rotation with the other side of the body, right, and able to be centered with this upper trapezius working behind the head, okay? So a lot of what happens is just the head is being similar to that latissimus dorsi muscle. It's just being chronically shortened if we're over to the right side and the right side's dropped. If the head's over to the right side and essentially dropped, meaning the distance from the rear of the skull back here, right behind the ear, right, where the sternocleidomastoid inserts, that needs to be even and not an excess bump off the skull on the right side from being pulled on from this sternocleidomastoid muscle. If that is being just used more because of the position that is incorrect on the right side of the body, external, dropped, farther away, pulling on the head in a right-handed pattern, then yes, that's why we need to focus on the importance of even sternocleidomastoid insertions, okay, to keep the body centered. So your imbalanced jaw will lean your head to the side that it's imbalanced to. You're always chewing with one side of your body, in a sense, the right side. Eating with just your right hand, your jaw will be off to the right. Your collar just falling off to your right side from a dreaded collar seam under In The Image Clothing Company on the left side, your jaw will be off to the right, okay? All things in the body that could possibly pull the body off to the right, the jaw will follow and then just get stuck in a patterning because now your teeth are meshing off to the right. And we need to lean left, okay? So there's a lot that goes into this, and yeah, there is. There's a lot that goes into this. So yes, so there's a lot that goes into this, because that's the thing, is people don't normally focus on, well, people don't normally know where to look. That's what I say under In The Image Clothing Company. If you don't know where to look, you just don't know where to look. It's not your fault, but we show it. We actually know the real, actual, true, actual causes, actually, of human beings' physical problems, and it's coming from the only thing placed physically on us, being our clothing. There's no way it couldn't be, but you just don't know what to even know if you don't know, you know? So, people stretch the body. They'll stretch their lat, but the insertion is all scar tissued up and put off to the side. So you stretch the meat of the muscle and you're wasting your time. It's the insertion that just needs to be broken up to not be so altered, okay? People will stretch their arm across their body. Well, again, that's actually coming from the lat, the latissimus dorsi, but also it's the scar tissue that's in the forearm, pinky finger, wrist, elbow, that's not allowing your upper arm, just because it's all the same thing, okay, to actually get across your body, okay? You see what I mean? There's a lot that goes into this. So, you know, the pinky fingers affect the entire body. A video we have under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company involving the pinky finger in things that we do in our lives, okay, that we have to. That's a video we have involving the pinky finger. It's the smallest finger, and so often it gets like left out of things, but it's also the neutral wrist, okay? And it also has to be round in order to work. Otherwise, yeah, it just doesn't even reach something flat. But if there's rounding, it can work, right? Just like it rounds around our thumbs naturally. So all these things on the right side of the body, we're just leaning right. And we need to get our bodies centered, and then we can go left from there. But this is the thing, is it just comes from the whole body. We can't address just one thing in the body. You can't try to stretch your body to get yourself to do something when there's something else going on, right? Stretch your lats all you want. On your right side, you stretch your right latissimus dorsi all you want. If your right foot is being pulled external, well, you're taking your latissimus dorsi muscle and shortening it because of your gripped arches flattening, and now your whole right side of your body is a gripped arch distance lower than your left side. And that's just how it is. And also external, so the insertion will just creep off to the right side of the latissimus dorsi. And then, yes, your whole right side, just from the shoelace alone being tied incorrect on the right foot, rotating the foot out, your whole right side is a gripped arch distance lower. Arches physically grip and get taller, like the hands, right? The hands and the feet are basically the same thing. These hand arches, there's just natural rounding to the hands. If there's rounding in the feet, if the feet are allowed to have arches, hence in the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique. The only way the human feet are shaped, no opinion. No sales pitch is the point. You don't gotta believe anything, but this is just how it is, right? This is where it really is coming from. Human beings' physical problems, the patterning, the pain we're in chronically, persistently throughout our whole lives. It's just from placing things on our bodies, in the cases that it is, right? But also the right-handed world and our lifestyle. But we talk about everything we do as a human being under In the Image Clothing Company to allow the human body to work, right? We discuss how to let it. It's God's design. We just need to understand it to the degree that we do to not alter it, okay? And there's a center line, that's the point. But yes, a gripped arch distance lower on the right foot travels through the whole body, and now your head's just going to tilt right. The amount of a gripped arch height discrepancy, right? Do you see what I mean? So there then, yes, that sternocleidomastoid muscle pulling down, okay, on the right side. And so we just need to be able to break up the scar tissue. You just picture a muscle connecting to a bone through whatever means it does that, right? But ligaments connect muscles to bones, but yes, but muscles connecting into bones, scar tissue will just get built up there if it's not being able to just pull in line, but it's pulling off to the side. Do you see what I mean? So, yeah. But the importance of even nostrils is what it's titled. We have a septum, a center of our nose that divides the two nostrils on either side, and there's a center. There's a center line to everything that's in the center of the body. And so our septum needs to be centered, and just as everything I've discussed in here that pulls the right side of the body away from its center, the nose will be pulled off as well, okay, to the side that your body is leaning to, right? The same skin on your nose or the tip of your head is the same skin down to your fingertips and out to your toes. It's all one organ, the epidermis, the same skin on the entire body, so it affects the entire body. It just does, right? Being able to turn your head left doesn't only come from the spine's ability to move in the rear of the body, but also from the skin on the nostrils, on the nose here, to be able to accommodate for what's happening on the rear of the head. It's all the same skin, okay? So there's a lot that goes into this, because we have to be able to start at a center line. We have to be able to dwell in our center line. We have to be able to dwell in our neutrals. Neutral, natural, normal are synonyms within the human body, and it has to stay there always. Always, 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 always neutral. I just mean any motion we're ever doing, neutral, unless we're really doing something different. But then we have to come back to the neutral, otherwise the whole body's altered, okay? And we need to get left, just because it's one of the sides opposing this center line, okay? So there's a lot of modifications we give in clothing. In the Image Clothing Company's rotated seam modification, a lot of seams nowadays come rotated from the factory, because something, again, that's only decades old as of today's date. You know, the Industrial Revolution, we started making machinery that stitches clothing rather than human beings doing it. So it does it so fast, and it does it often to one direction, and usually it's a right-handed rotation, and then your whole body's rotated. And now, again, like we say, like we show, like it is, I don't even need to say it again. This is crazy. That'll just cause you to lean right. Okay, so we have to be able to lean left. But I talk about it often, you know, hey bud, people can't usually actually stand on their right leg. Not actually, but it seems kind of weird though, right? Because, well, if we're leaning off to our side, wouldn't we stand on our right leg? But no, we have to compensate over our body's center. So putting weight here in our right hand, we actually have to put more weight on the left foot. Weight in the left hand would cause us to have to put more weight on our right foot, because just compensating for, like I showed earlier, right, the gravity pull on just the excess weight on one side of our bodies. So yeah, I mean, in a right-handed world, it's hard to stand on your right leg, because if you're doing things over here, even just reaching over here, you have to kind of compensate by having your weight on your left side, just because of the center of gravity where it would have to be. Okay, so that's the thing, you know, we need to be able to do things with our left arm, with our left hand, eat with our left side of our jaw, if you will. We need to be able to look left. Well, yeah, the mechanics of looking left, there's a lot that goes into that, but we need to be able to see past our nose. That's the other thing. You know, if we do have a deviated septum off to the right, then, you know, our eyes barely look past our nose, and we have to be able to look left, or else we're not going to go over there. We'll have to look right to get around our nose, and then we're leaning right, and we're not going to actually go left at that point, right? And so there's a lot to this, you know. The human body can only ever work one way, and that's centered, that's neutral, and that's just God's design. It's unaltered, it's natural, which is the goal under In the Image Clothing Company. You know, it's only by allowing it to, which is what we do, right? It's only when it doesn't have the built up scar tissue or patternings that we get into. And so we rid these things under In the Image Clothing Company. Yeah, you know, our hands get different sizes, and the whole body. I'm cutting this, I'm done. I'm not upset with this. This is so big, and it's just crazy. In a good way. It's nuts. I just don't know what to do sometimes when I'm able to explain stuff like this, but that's where we'll leave this. Yeah, okay, we have to look, we have to lean left. You have to be able to look left too, right? But we have to lean left. So yeah, so much of it's the ears. The cartilage in the ears just gets built up to fill the gap that gets caused if our jaw isn't sitting in its only neutral location. Okay, there's just going to be more of a gap there between the rear jaw here, the lower jawbone in the rear of it, and the skull, which is all the ears are, is just a hole between that location. So the cartilage in the ears just gets built up, and then excessively on the right, because the right's just dropped more and farther away. There's just a bigger gap between the jaw and the skull, where the jaw is just like opening a gap for that ear cartilage to fill. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So this is what we do. This is In the Image Clothing Company. No, we're not about fashion. No, we're not even really about clothing. We are, but just for the sake of getting to the human body's natural function. We are about clothing, and we are a clothing company. We will always have good clothing to sell that you can purchase if you'd like. That'll just allow your body to work. But it's about the human body's natural function, and the same thing applies to dogs. You know, a lot of what happens with dogs is what's placed on their collars. You know, dog tags just hanging off to one side. Well, the dog's leaning off to one side, but also then the dog eats, and now its teeth wear off to one side, like us human beings as well. And, you know, leashes, the way that we have them on dogs and the way that they pull on dogs, we just talk about a lot of this stuff. And as I say, you know, let dogs stay natural under In the Image Clothing Company poodles. It's the same thing as human beings. A mechanical machine placed onto a rock in space, a center line, right? Neutrals in all the positions of the dog, the jaw stabilizing its entire body, a sternum, a spine, a trachea, a nose, and yes, the jaw, right? I mean, it's just a machine. Yeah, so there you go, okay? But the other thing is, you know, it's not only the lumbar spine, the lower part here, that bends, but there's motion throughout the whole spine. I mean, the neck is the spine. That's the bone structure of the neck. There's musculature around, you know, but the spine and those little vertebrae are what really cause the neck to be able to move. And then we've got our thoracic spine in between, from the base of our neck to, you know, the top of our lumbar spine, up kind of like where our ribs start, basically, right? The thoracic spine here in the middle back, and that has motion as well. But the thoracic spine's motion can't be there if the rib cage can't move, okay? Our bones of our rib cage, they move. They are physical bone, but they do expand and contract, ideally all the way around in 360 degrees without restriction, and evenly left to right, okay? This comes from uneven nostrils. An unevenness in the expansion of the rib cage can, okay? It comes from shoe tying, an unevenness in the expansion of the rib cage. It comes from drawstrings, right? An unevenness in the expansion of the rib cage. But all these things will cause us to be leaning right. Our right side isn't allowed to expand because we have to get in a position where it can, which is this position of more internal on the right, at least to centered. And then to actually expand the right side more than the left, that's what you'd be doing if you were leaning left, okay? So it happens through the whole body. The importance of even height shoulders, a video under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company, okay? The shoulders are the scapulas, those big bones on the upper back, but they are the collarbone. The shoulders are the upper arm bone. And there's only one neutral position for the shoulders to be in, okay? So the importance of even height shoulders, yeah, things like the dreaded collar seam modification will resolve that to a degree, but having a collar seam, what we call the dreaded collar seam under In the Image Clothing Company, it's just excess material. It'll cause the side that it's on to be higher. It's almost always placed on the left side in modern day in clothing design, as far as what I've seen, and I've, like studied clothing, if you will. It just is, right? And a lot of that is because we're right-handed. And so we're already over here in this right-handed patterning, even if we never wore clothing, okay? And so we need to keep our shoulders at even heights. And, having a dreaded collar seam on the left will cause the left side to be higher. Now your right side's rib cage is closed off. Your right side is externally rotated. It's farther away from the center. Now you can't lean left unless you raise your right shoulder even first, and then raise your right shoulder higher than your left to lean. Well, things like this, when people drive vehicles, as I was earlier today thinking about this, as I have thought about it many times since around the time of founding In the Image Clothing Company. You'll see almost everybody driving a vehicle with a steering wheel. Oh, that's not a steering wheel with my hands here, that's handlebars. But they'll have, if one arm is on top of the wheel, as opposed to both hands on it, it will be their right. Because look where I am here, in a right-handed patterning. Also, if you do drive a manual transmission, you'll be, yeah, really, potentially at least, very damaged within your body as far as patterning goes. There's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. This is quite the video. I love this, actually, just how this is going. Titled Imbalances from Driving. We do have discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ. That's the point of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. But there's specific episodes that are about specific things, like that I have made up until today's date, at least, right? So, yeah. Imbalances from driving, well, you can be in the same right-handed patterning because pushing a clutch in with your left foot, you're essentially taking your hips into the same position that a right-handed drawstring is already doing. Having your right foot off on the gas pedal is the same as being just externally rotated in life on the right foot from shoe tying to the right, or just being in a right-handed patterning in general. And then shifting with your right hand, with your left arm on top of the wheel, is the same thing as just a right-handed patterning in life. In a left-hand drive car, okay? The United States of America, that's how our cars are. Across the earth, it's the other way in some parts. But there you go, you have to be able to lean left because there's a center, and you got to do both sides, right and left. So, yeah, but also just the dreaded collar seam. I made 3 videos in 2024. It's September 2025 now, right? It's the 26th of September 2025 today. But last year I was making videos, and when I made those videos on the dreaded collar seam under In The Image Clothing Company's main side, that's one of the big things I talked about. Is you'll see people driving a vehicle and their left hand is up on the wheel, and the dreaded collar seam on the left side will just place your right arm lower, but then yes, your left one will be the only one that's able to rise, because there's just excess material there of the seam of the collar, which just means material that is folded over itself and thicker. Okay, so that's a right-handed patterning. That's leaning right. And so we need to be able to do things like get our right hand on top of the steering wheel of the car. And you'd actually be a little bit off to the side so that when you're pulling across your body, right, in a centered position. With your hand exactly on top of the steering wheel, you'd actually be pulling, kind of like turning right. Just mechanically what would happen from the angle of the peak of this top of the steering wheel to your shoulder. That would actually be internal at that point. What it would cause your body to a degree. Anyway, well, external, but the pull is an internal motion, minus what your hand is doing up to the forearms. I want to just discuss this, right? This is an explanation. The point of In The Image Clothing Company is teaching people how to let their bodies work, showing people, hey, I get it. I was in chronic pain for so long. I was going to physical therapy for both shoulder impingement, right, subacromial shoulder impingement, and knee pain as well, chondromalacia patella, right, whatever they want to call it. No, I didn't have problems. I was within imbalanced clothing, okay? Well, and just lifestyle choices, again, being in a right-handed patterning. So we have to lean left, and you just have to be able to, right? This is why we're here. We're not here just because we like clothing and we want to sell it to you. We have great clothing that will allow your body to be unaltered and allow you to get out of these chronic patternings and allow you to know through just our free information like this video, this is what we do under In The Image Clothing Company, how to live life in a modern man-made world. You are a natural human being designed in the image of our one and only true God. We're on this planet and there's so much flatness, right? And there's so many unnatural materials. There is stretch. There is a lot that we're doing that we don't even know to know. Ropes in and on the body. A lot of things, you know, oversized clothing. People don't even know what it means to have their clothing fit correct. And also, even if you do, you almost are certainly required to modify just about every item of clothing you ever purchase from anybody in modern day, because it almost certainly is imbalanced. Even if it's just something as simple as removing a tag that's just altering your body, right? Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, shoot just meaning I can get so in depth with this, because a tag in the rear of our collar, if the collar has any play in it and it's not staying centered, right, keeping collar centered under In The Image Clothing Company, one of our videos on the main side, and it falls off to one side, if there's a tag in the center of the rear of the collar but your collar's off centered, now that tag's sitting directly on your right upper trapezius muscle, and then now you've got all these other problems that we talked about just from one tag in the upper part of your collar of your top alone. And that travels to your feet, to your fingertips, and through your entire body, altering your jaw, altering everything, leaning you to the right, more external on the right. The right-handed world, right? So we have to be able to lean left, and we have so many videos. I could reference anything that could go into anything that could relate to this, and that's just about everything, because that's what the chronic patterning is. And where the scar tissue holds us into is a right-handed, leaning right patterning, okay? So as you saw with that left-handed cartwheel, that's what it is. We need to get external on the left, we need to get internal on the right, and we need to look left, lean left, have a weight shift to the left, which really means putting weight on our right foot. And we need to be able to breathe centered, but be able to go left, even nostrils, even rib cage expansion, even pelvis position. Okay. So there you go. I mean, it's the whole body. There's a lot of videos, The importance of even ankle flexion, under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company, right? Dorsiflexion and, well, yeah, dorsiflexion and plantar flexion of the ankles even, right? And that comes from rotations, and then that will allow us to either lean one way or not, okay? So I'm gonna cut this. I said that earlier, who knows? I said it was gonna be a huge video. It is. Yeah, okay? Dude, I wanna go get a drink of milk. So there you go though, right? We can talk about the entire body and anything in it, and really the whole point is if you've just got a little bit of a gap somewhere, well, your whole body is damaged, meaning a gap from clothing, okay? And so you just have to keep your body centered. Clothing has to fit. We show how to let it, how it has to, and you don't have to purchase clothing from us, but free modifications. Under In the Image Clothing Company, we show so many of them. Really all that you need to know to keep your body centered, yeah, within clothing, you know, so yeah. So there you go, right? We gotta be able to lean left. Yeah. So there you go. I'm gonna do a front handspring. Did one last night. Feel like it's necessary to kind of show that I can really move well, and you can just see it. You can see the way that I stand and the rotations I have, right? And just the way I can articulate my words, how I can speak well with good, you know, breath control, which only comes from your body mechanically working. You can just see, you know, you can tell, but I want to give good visual explanations, if you will, of just like, not only do I know stuff out of some book, you know, like some people do, talking about the human body and how it works, but I know this stuff out of personal experience. And these things we talk about under In the Image Clothing Company, not only do they apply to every human on the face of the earth, but they always will. We're designed in the image of Jesus Christ. He is the same, meaning our God himself, yesterday, today, and forever. Human beings and human bodies, physical mechanics have and always will be the same. There's only one way they could ever work. There's only one neutral position to all parts of the body, and there is a center line that has to mesh with Earth's center of gravity, and there's a dog, okay? So all of these things are things that are eternal, and that's what we do under In the Image Clothing Company, is try all that we can do to speak on things, give information, give understandings that will never change, because I'm here for life, okay? In the Image Clothing Company is my lifelong company, and here we are, okay? And this is what we do. And this is how real it is, if and where it is, windy or noisy, right? Raw, real, blunt, bold, we're just who we are. So check us out. Stick around for the poodles, come to Poodle Parade events. The information we give about poodles and letting dogs stay natural actually applies to all dogs, minus the things that are poodle specific, like some of the grooming things with poodles, dogs with hair versus dogs with fur, right? And similar things temperament-wise and whatever it could be that does only apply to poodles. The other things we do and the products we sell under In the Image Clothing Company poodles do apply to all dogs on the earth, if and where they do, meaning, you know, the majority of the cases that is how it is. So that's some kind of poodle mix. I think it's a golden doodle, unless it is a poodle. Sometimes, you know, I have a little bit of a hard time telling if it's a purebred poodle or if it's a poodle mix. At least as of now, you know, but I'm still learning about dogs. I mean, I'm new to all this, actually. I am. As far as I can tell, though, that's the first look that I got at it when I just turned, other than I kind of saw it in the monitor slightly. There you go. I'll throw a front handspring. Yeah, and then we'll cut this out. Thank you, just thank you, and just thank you. Utah is so beautiful. We do so much here under In the Image Clothing Company that is about how beautiful Utah is. The state of Utah here in the United States of America, okay? This is where we're based, and it's amazing, okay? So we'll do a lot for the environment as well in the ways that we do. So check us out, check this out. Yikes. I wouldn't do it if I was nervous about it to too high of a degree that it could be potentially dangerous, but we'll see what happens. When I said that I was gonna go get a drink, it's because I'm lightheaded. It's fairly warm out here actually for being September in Utah. And then after all that talking and squinting from the sun, that's how that went there. So thank you.